for Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Friday at 8.
This evening on Pulse, rolling up the AstroTurf, a players' strike looms. And a beer war is brewing. Good evening. Bill is on vacation, but the politicians certainly aren't. Jacques Parizeau and Daniel Johnson brought the election campaign to Montreal today. And what happened from Barry Wilson.
Premier Johnson went on the attack again today, armed with numbers, statistics, and graphs. The Liberals released their comparison of 9 years of Liberal government versus the previous 9 years of PQ government.
It's called truth in advertising.
And according to the Liberal sales pitch, the PQ years were disastrous for Quebec.
The
Liberals say they outperformed the PQ in job creation, deficit control, taxes, you name it. And under the PQ, there was a mass exodus of English Quebecers that could happen again.
There'll barely be anyone left to leave the province when the Piquists, if the Piquists were to take power for any number of years.
Johnson is inviting Quebecers to shop and compare. Problem is, he may find that many Quebecers are more interested in change for the sake of change than anything else. And he'll also have to convince them that they are better off now than they were a decade ago.
116,000 emplois.
Jacques Parizeau says it's just gotten worse, particularly in Montreal, says Parizeau, where 116,000 jobs have disappeared in the past 5 years, a real unemployment rate of 24.5%. The Liberals have failed miserably, says Parizeau, and he confidently predicts Quebecers won't be fooled come Election Day.
I hope not, and I don't think so.
Parizeau promises that if elected, he'll put Quebecers back to work with large capital works projects, such as extending the Montreal Metro to Laval. Barry Wilson, Pulse News.
Now, while the politicians drone on, regular people have regular concerns. Today, the talk on the streets of Montreal wasn't about politics, it was about baseball. And that's because Major League players say they will strike on August the 12th if they haven't agreed to a new contract. And Montrealers are concerned.
In Montreal, they're going to cost them the franchise long term. That's my feeling about it.
I'm not in accord with that strike because the customer, the fan, is always paying.
For and against, because I found the players have very big salaries now.
I think it's a bad thing because the Expos this year, they are doing great. And
well, I think they'll settle it or something. That's what I think. You know what I mean? Because the Expos is ahead now. We want it like that.
And Ron Rouge will have more on the baseball strike threat coming up on Pulse Sports. Meanwhile, Caroline Van Vlaardingen is standing by live at the Just for Laughs Festival. Caroline?
Thanks, Mitch. Well, if you like your comedy on the edge, you got to be here at Théâtre Saint-Denis tomorrow night for the gala with Bobcat Goldthwait, the wildest cat of comedy. I'll have an interview with him coming up.
Looking forward to that, Caroline. Beer and pretzels go together, but when it comes to beer and groceries, well, it's a problem. In fact, there's a dispute brewing that's headed for court. Robert Viro explains.
This new beer is what's causing all the fuss. Metro's new in-house private brand Norwa beer. It's brewed by the same Lakeport company that produces President's Choice in Ontario Loblaw stores. It's moving quickly and in a big way into Quebec, but not before a major legal battle. The Régie des Alcools was called in on this one to determine whether Metro was violating Section 32 of its laws. It says a grocery store cannot hold a permit in a brewery or a brewer's distributor. But as with any law, it's a question of interpretation.
In this particular case, what Lakeport presented to us as the request, the distribution of this private label brand, and the way they were to distribute it, and the relationship between Lakeport and UMR in this particular case, was considered by the Régie not falling under Section 32 of the law.
The Régie's decision is under appeal by the major brewers at the Superior Court level. But while that case is underway, cases of Norwa are filling up shelves at Metro stores.
Metro's reputation as a great private brand producer and seller makes it so that we've teamed up with these people and we've came up with Norwa.
Norwa is up there on shelves along with the others with hopes of increasing its hold on the increasing lager market. So what happens to Norwa beer now? Absolutely nothing. It'll continue to be sold in all Metro stores across the province for some time yet. In fact, an attempt by the Brewers Association of Quebec to stop the application of the Régi's decision has failed, and in effect it means that Norwa beer will continue to be sold at least until the end of September, until a decision is rendered by the Superior Court of Quebec. Robert Varno, Pulse News.
In Montreal, 3 motorcycle gang members are in police custody and awaiting charges. Anne Shatilla has the details.
Police were riding these patrol bicycles through this park in front of the Montreal Forum yesterday when they spotted 3 suspicious-looking men. Police waited until the men went into their 2 cars and then approached the suspects. MUC police officer Clément Marcoux and Denis Cardin made the arrests.
We looked at them for a few moments. When they got into their car, went there with asking other patrol car to assist us just for verification of the individual. When we did that, we saw the cross of a gun under the bench of one of the driver in the car.
In the cars, they found these 3 9mm guns and 4 bulletproof vests. One of the guns was a Ruger with 15 bullets inside and a Charger with more bullets. As well, 2 other small 9mm guns. All were loaded. One of the guns had been reported stolen by the SQ. The other one had a serial number removed. All 3 suspects had criminal records. The 3 are all members of the motorcycle gang, the Rockers. The officers say they knew the guys were up to no good, and they say it's just something you know when you're a cop.
Well, it's only that their attitude. They were suspect in the park, so we just decided, first of all, to look at them, and then ask them some questions what they were doing there. And the result that we saw part of a gun that made us bring the arrest.
The 3 suspects, aged 24, 27, and 35, face charges of possession of illegal arms. Anne Shatilla, Pulse News.
There's new hope for people who suffer from hypertension. Stéphane Giroux explains why.
Heart disease is the leading cause of death among Canadians, and 1 out of 5 adults suffers from hypertension. So it should be no surprise that most medications on the market right now are used to treat cardiovascular problems. Developing new and improved treatments is an ongoing concern, and pharmacologists from around the world who are meeting in Montreal this week say a new generation of more efficient drugs is just around the corner.
These drugs have been shown to effectively lower blood pressure, and they are in the development for further study whether they can also prevent complications of high blood pressure such as infarction, heart failure, and all these problems.
Hypertension has long been associated with stress and unhealthy lifestyle. Prevention campaigns in the past decade encourage people to cut back on fatty food, smoking, and drinking. Doctors have also encouraged their patients to exercise more to prevent heart disease. But that doesn't solve the problem for one important reason.
Hypertension may have many causes. Of course, some of the cause of hypertension may be in your gene, may be genetic. And therefore it's often difficult to prevent.
Better lifestyle may not cure hypertension, but doctors do agree that cutting back on smoking, drinking, and overeating may reduce the overall risks. Stéphane Giroux, Pulse News.
And now, as promised, Caroline Van Vleringen joins us again live from the Just for Laughs Festival. Caroline?
Mutsumi, as I was saying before, some people like their comedy on the edge, and one of the best places to see comedy raw and unrehearsed is every night at Club Soda at midnight when they have something called the Late Night Danger Zone. Now, this is basically when you get a chance to be the guinea pig, and the comics go out there and just throw all kinds of stuff at you that they've never really practiced before or thrown before a live audience before. And one guy who loves to do this and who was there last night is a guy by the name of Bobcat Goldthwait. Let's just say that whenever Bobcat gets in front of an audience, it's kind of like a case of spontaneous combustion.
You guys, like, I get here, I get out of the car, and there's a Kennedy Avenue. He wasn't your president.
He's a comic on a high-wire act who prefers performing without a net. So when Bobcat Goldthwait set fire to Jay Leno's chair and got his host upset, he didn't understand what all the fuss was about.
He only had me on the show after I smashed up Arsenio's set, you know? So, I mean, that's why he had me on the show.
The Wildcat of Comedy says with the fire gag and a recent nude appearance in Texas, he's got enough legal problems to keep him going for a while. So he'll probably likely play it relatively safe here at Just for Laughs. Are you going to be smashing up any sets
No,
here?
I'm going to be very good. Everybody wants me to destroy stuff. Everyone's like going, so what are you going to do? And I don't know what they're going to ask me to do. It's like PSAs, you know. Hi, I'm Bobcat Goldthwait. If you're ever on a national talk show, hey, kids, don't set it on fire, you know.
Still, he is booked to play the White House next week. And they're probably hiding the matches at the White House right now in expectation of his performance there next week. He will be here, though, hosting a gala tomorrow at Théâtre Saint-Denis. And before that all happens, there's lots more happening in the Old Port tonight. Before we leave you tonight, we got word of a major deal that happened here today between the Just for Laughs people and the head of New World Entertainment, none other than Mr. Brandon Tartikoff. And with me here to explain what all this is about is the head of Just for Laughs, Andy Nolman. Andy, hi, what does this all mean?
What it means is that Just for Laughs is going to be producing sitcoms with some Just for Laughs talent who we discover with Brandon Tartikoff in the United States. So it's big, big, big news.
So that means anybody who comes here next year has a chance at a sitcom?
It means that some people who are here this year, we would like to sign up and try and develop TV programming with them, with Brandon Tartikoff.
That's terrific. Is this something that you guys have been working forward or looking forward to ever since the beginning of the festival, or what?
Well, we've come a long distance, and only now can really be able to do something of this magnitude. And it's something that I've personally been working on since January when I was in Los Angeles for the earthquake, which now is all worth it.
So does this mean you're going to be rich?
No, but I will be able to fix the headlight on my car, so I'm a very happy man.
Okay, thanks very much, Andy. And we'll look forward to seeing just what this deal does hold in store for the rest of the future of the festival. Mitz?
Thanks, Caroline. And from Argentina to Bon Secours Market, welcome to Montreal, the tango capital of North America. That's coming up.
Gave a waitress a $2 million.
You guys going?
Over to Mazda to get air conditioning.
Me too.
Sounds good.
Steve, Louise, you don't need air conditioning. You're penguins.
Right now at Mazda, get air conditioning or $1,500 equivalent value credit or get a great lease rate. Offer good on Mazda Protege and on 626 Kronos.
We're back.
I got the 626 Kronos. I got the Protege.
Guys, penguins don't drive.
Now you tell us. Whip it, whip it, whip it. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh. Look at that. Oh, baby. Oh, wow. I love it. Oh, I love it. I can't breathe.
Chocolaires. For that 3 o'clock craving that can't be ignored.
Cutie.
How do you get the most long distance for the least money?
From Sprint Canada. The most means 50% off on the person you talk to most each month. One in Canada, one in the U.S., and one overseas.
Keep talking.
The least means a guaranteed lower rate on all your long distance and no extra fees.
Isn't communication wonderful? Get the most for the least. From Sprint Canada.
Salada presents tea and music at the Chateau Ramsay. Enjoy an elegant evening's entertainment, Victorian style, in the heart of old Montreal. Sip tea as you tour the historic riches of the Chateau Ramsay. Then retire to an elegant 18th century drawing room for an intimate recital featuring some of Canada's finest artists. For information, call 381-9386, 381-9386.
And now a little story about numbers. Well, actually, it's a little story about big numbers. In 1991, Statistics Canada conducted a census. Then the City of Montreal had their mathematical wizards work their calculators overtime to figure out the figures. Robert Varro tells us what they found out.
There are more people living in the City of Montreal, the city, mind you, than there were in 1986. But only 2,500 more, or a touch over a million. But the fine print tells you that this includes 27,000 non-residents not included in the 86 survey. Take them out of the picture and the number drops below the 1 million mark. The youth and the elderly are strong players in the Montreal game. 20% of the population is under 20. 15% is over 65. Montreal is still a Catholic city, 74% in fact. In second place, however, 8% of Montrealers who profess no religion. Education officials must be concerned with the figures. Nearly 1/4 of all Montrealers over 15 have not completed grade 9 education. Generally speaking, the level of education in the City of Montreal itself is inferior to that on the entire Montreal census region, including the suburbs.
And now language, specifically language spoken at home. And here there are some real surprises.
Contrary to what everyone assumed, in the City of Montreal, French-speaking homes showed a small decrease, while English-speaking homes grew by over 9,000 in the 5-year period. In the entire area, French continued to grow as a language spoken at home. But again, English growth was strong, growing nearly 10%. As for languages other than English and French, in both cases the growth was remarkable. 29% in Montreal City proper and 33% on the whole island. Spanish at almost double what it was 5 years ago, and Chinese led the way.
And so proportionally, the non-official languages held roughly the same position as they did in 1986. What does it all mean? Well, it must be remembered these figures are now 3 years old, and we are due to be counted once more in only 2 years' time. Robert Varro, Pulse News.
And speaking of statistics, here's another surprising statistic from Statistics Canada. Cigarette sales are up only slightly. Lower taxes led to fears of a much larger increase, but it hasn't happened. Norman Fetterly reports.
The crystal ball seems to have worked. When Jean Chrétien's government cut tobacco taxes, the prediction was that cigarette consumption would stay about the same, but that smokers would switch from smuggled brands to legal ones. Here's what happened. Statistics Canada says overall cigarette sales went up just 0.2% in the first 6 months of this year compared with 1993. Cigarette exports are down sharply by 64%. Many of them used to reappear as smuggled smokes. Legal domestic sales, on the other hand, have risen about 38%. But health groups say 6 months doesn't prove their prediction wrong, that cheaper cigarettes will eventually mean more smokers, especially young ones.
So what we've done by lowering taxes and hence lowering the price of cigarettes is remove a very substantial, in fact the most substantial barrier to keep kids away from smoking, to stop them from starting to smoke. But by the same token, we're not going to see tens of thousands of kids starting to smoke tomorrow because the price has gone down. The impact of the lower prices will be seen over a much longer period of time.
Smuggled cigarettes are, of course, still around, and they're still cheaper than the legal ones, but the RCMP says the smuggled tobacco business has largely gone up in smoke, and instead the smugglers have largely switched to that other high-tax commodity, alcohol. Norman Fetterly.
Canadian National has announced profits of $98 million for the second quarter of 1994. That compares with a loss of $13 million a year ago. CN credits the turnaround to cost-cutting and an improved economy. And now a look at the day's markets. allegations are being raised at a special inquiry into the sexual activities of the late New Brunswick Premier Richard Hatfield. Laverne Stewart reports.
There was a concern in 1979 and 1980 that 3 boys who were supposed to be doing yard work at former Premier Richard Hatfield's home were reading homosexual pornography while there. And a social worker discovered that Hatfield had given one boy licorice-flavored underwear as a gift.
Why wasn't that looked into by the department?
First of all, the material, the issue in terms of pornographic material wasn't an issue I dealt with. I wasn't aware of that until the testimony. In terms of the underwear, that was third-hand information that came to me, so that may have been inappropriate, but my concern was appropriate supervision of the boys.
Boys would leave Hatfield's home with large amounts of money after having done light yard work. Their foster parents complained the more time they spent here, the harder they were to control. They even broke in here and stole liquor. Alderman said he knew of those incidents but didn't know if the break-ins were ever reported to the police.
Find it unusual, though, that 2 weeks after the fact that the social worker came to you and you reported it to your boss, that all of a sudden the boys stopped going to Hatfield's?
No, I think it's partly a consequence of the discussion we had.
The inquiry will resume August 22nd when sex offender Carl Toft will take the stand. In Fredericton, this is Laverne Stewart reporting.
120 Quebecers drowned last year. It's the second leading cause of accidental death in Canada. Many fatalities occur at this time of year, and lifeguards are keeping a close eye on boaters. Anne Lewis reports.
Jet boats are taking Quebec by storm. They're easy to operate and a major status symbol among 18 to 35-year-old males, but they're tricky and easy to fall off. Drowning claimed 120 lives in Quebec last year. Most died because they weren't wearing a life vest. Lifeguards are warning all boaters to wear vests. They'll even be giving out free ones over the next 2 weeks, and they have a special warning for jet boaters who tail big boats to slice across their wash.
The danger with following these large boats?
It's to get sucked in by the wash created by the larger vessel, and then there's a collision and there's fatalities that occur.
Special targets during the 2-week campaign, those 18 to 34-year-old males and parents of children under 4. And here's some more advice. Jet boaters should remember they're subject to the same rules and regulations as people on larger craft. So, get some lessons. Anne Lewis, Pulse News, Boucherville Island.
If you think reptiles are slimy, scary creatures we'd be better off without, well, think again. Reptiles do play an important role in ecosystems throughout the world. A new research center in Granby is trying to save certain species of reptiles and show people how interesting they really are. Cynthia Drummond reports.
This strange lizard is a gecko from Madagascar. There aren't very many of them left in the wild. The gecko is one of 85 reptiles at the non-profit Center for Endangered Reptiles housed in the reptile house at the Granby Zoo.
We carry out a program of research and educational programs designed to try to increase the chances of survival for endangered species of reptiles.
Galbraith and his assistants work out of a small area apart from the public displays at the reptile house. Among the snakes in their program, endangered Jamaican and Cuban boas, these African plated lizards, and soft-shelled turtles. It's hard to get people interested in saving animals they'd normally cross the street to avoid. Galbraith wants to change their minds.
Trying to reach out to people and express to them both the how interesting the animals can be, their beauty, their role in nature, their importance to ecological systems.
Most of these visitors to the reptile house probably don't realize how many of the reptiles they're looking at now may not be around in a few decades. Galbraith hopes his work may contribute to worldwide efforts to save some of them. Cynthia Drummond, Pulse News.
Tango, anyone? Another festival has come to Montreal. This one, the Tango and Flamenco Festival, straight from Argentina. Anne Chatilla went down to the Bon Secours Market Theatre to check out the moves.
Passion, seduction, romance all come to mind when you think tango. Originating in Argentina, this dance has become the dance of couples, and it's hard not to see why. The music is a mixture of Spanish, African, and Cuban. The festival is on at the Bon Secours Market Theatre until August 26th. Why Montreal?
Because Montreal is the capital of tango in North America, Montreal is the only city here in North America, in the United States and Canada, where there is a lot of Montrealers, a lot of Canadians and Quebecers who practice tango, who dance tango, and who love the music of tango.
Jenny Patino and Jorge Torres are two of Argentina's most popular performers.
When people think of tango, they think of a very romantic, sensual dance.
It is.
It is.
It is. It is a very sensual dance because it's a language the man, like you tried before, the man leads you and it's a language. He leads you and you answer his questions. And it's all about love and it's a very sexy dance.
No kidding. There's something to be said about these Latin types.
Backwards? Okay.
At the festival, you can take in a show, dance up a storm yourself all night long, and even take lessons.
Good.
At first, you may feel like a wilted carnutzel or something like that, but with a little help from the pros, anyone can sort of get it. One thing I found out today, it definitely takes two to tango. Ann Shatilla, Pulse News.
She's doing pretty well there. So, clearing out tonight, we'll see the moon.
Yes. And would you care to dance, Miss Takahashi? I am Carlos Gardel from Buenos Aires. No, okay. Then it'll be sunny tomorrow. Back after this.
This is Ron Rouge. Unless there's an 11th hour settlement, the baseball players say they're going on strike 2 weeks from today.
I'm afraid if I dig any deeper, no one's gonna like what I find.
From the makers of The Hunt for Red October and Patriot Games.
They have directly challenged the sovereign power of the United States.
Based on the #1 bestseller.
You see everything in black and white. Not black and white. Right or wrong.
Paramount Pictures presents Harrison Ford in the summer's most explosive thriller, Clear and Present Danger. Starts Wednesday, August 3rd.
Chrysler's #1 event of the summer is back. With rebates on thousands of '94 Chrysler cars and trucks. Look for vehicles that have this sticker, and you could save a bundle. That's right, rebates, rebates, and more rebates, or factory financing on thousands of '94 cars and trucks. It only comes once a year, and it's going on now. The #1 event of the summer, only at your local Chrysler dealer.
It's time to draw the line on tough stains and grease. Introducing Comet Liquid Gel, Bleach Plus Cleaner in a gel. It may just be the best way yet to clean your kitchen. When others can't cut it, Comet can.
Looks like an ordinary pouch for your pad, right? Look a little closer. These are new Quick Wraps from Always. This pouch turns into a reusable wrapper for your pad. Watch. Just lift the tab and unwrap it. See? The Quick Wraps pad is already unfolded. No fussing with backing paper either, because it stays on the wrapper. Here's the part I appreciate the most. To dispose of your pad, just roll it in the wrapper, tape it, and toss it. That clean, that easy. That's Quick Wraps, the new pouch from Always.
Here's Spurt Plus for kids and Star Kid. It's a shampoo and conditioner in one. Easy on eyes, tough on tangles. So no more crying. Spurt Plus for kids.
See you soon, kiddo.
If you choose a long-distance card from one of the discounters, you may have a lot more buttons to worry about every time you make a call. Bell Calling Card Service. No other card is as simple to use.
When it gets so hot, your shorts cling to your thighs in unnatural ways. Your dog keeps hogging your minifan. Your flannel shirt's just not working, and your shoes start melting to the pavement. Hey, that's when you need it big time. The big new 600 ml cool shape of Coca-Cola for the old 500 ml price.
So some bright days ahead. Could have 4 very pleasant days. A slight glitch Saturday afternoon, possible showers, but seasonable temperatures, so we will enjoy some brighter conditions under gray skies today. 22 the high, 4 below the normal reading for today's date. Record daytime high 34 in 1964, and cold in this day way back in 1945. It was 18. Afternoon temps across the country. 23 at St. John's, 26 at Charlottetown, 21 at Halifax, 20 at St. John NB, the 20 also at Quebec, 22 here, 25 warmer at Ottawa, 22 Toronto way. The Prairies, 28, not bad. At Winnipeg, here's the hot spot. Out west, 30 at Regina, 26 at Calgary, 23 at Edmonton, and the 21 at Vancouver. Satellite shots. Another great day across all of British Columbia. They've had a super week there. Also clear across Alberta, Saskatchewan, sunshine there, and great conditions also Manitoba and most of the Lakehead, northwestern Ontario. Lower Lakes, they've cleared. Still broken condition here along the valley. Still overcast in the lower St. Lawrence. And the cloud now receding across NB. Still patchy cloud in Nova Scotia, PEI, not bad through Newfoundland. And it's been cloud and broken cloud all along the Atlantic seaboard, and another very wet day from the Maritimes right through to the Florida Keys. Still some showers, some very light showers south of the valley. There's the system pushing across New England. We were just on the northern leading fringe of this system. We had a few drops this morning, but mostly gray sky, showers all day, especially this afternoon in the townships. It is heading for the Maritimes. We'll have some broken condition later tonight, but it should be dry. The map for tomorrow, again, a wet day through New England. We've got a dry slot in here. Should be plenty of sunshine tomorrow, seasonable temperatures with all that wet weather running from New England to the coastal area of New England. The map for the first half of the weekend, there's that ridge building in again across Toronto into Montreal. A wet day in the Maritimes and parts of New England, but it should be fair here, certainly Saturday morning. We could pick up a few of these showers, but later in the day, Saturday afternoon. Then the dry air again on Sunday, bright conditions the second half of the weekend, and we should hold on to this dry air and the sunshine for the beginning of the week on Monday. Here's our forecast then. Cloudy periods later tonight. It'll drop to 15 during the night. Tomorrow sunny, just a few clouds in the afternoon, high of 26. That's the normal reading for tomorrow's date. And a fair day, mixture of cloud and sunshine for the first half of the weekend on Saturday. That 40% chance of showers, that's for the afternoon and early evening, high of 26. So not a bad day on Saturday, and then better conditions on Sunday. Overnight low, 15 tonight, 26 the high tomorrow, 11 and 25 up north, 14 and 24 at Sherbrooke, 14 and 26 at Quebec, 15 and 26 for Ottawa. And a long-range forecast. There's Sunday, sunshine high of 27, above normal, so warmer, and holding on to the bright weather for Monday, high of 27 degrees. Right now at Dorval it's 22, 23 at Saint-Jovite, and 21 degrees at Trois-Rivières. Quebec is 20, 17 Sherbrooke, 23 Chicoutimi, and 20 at Baie-Comeau. The sun will rise tomorrow morning at 5:34, set at 8:29. The wind throughout the period light and variable. The humidity right now is 67%. And a present temperature 22 Celsius, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, we could have a baseball strike. We haven't got Clay Hopper or Bruno Betzel to comment, so here's Ron.
There you go.
Despite that, here I am.
And Don's right. The sports front office has really got hit hard today, Ron.
Two fronts, actually. It was a day when the baseball players announced that they're going to hit the picket lines in what has been an interminable string of work stoppages involving McGowan's grand old game. It was also a day when the NHL took a big financial hit over the...
And that's Pulse for Thursday, July the 28th. It's clearing out overnight. It's going to be a nice sunny day tomorrow. I'm Mutsumi Takahashi. Have a good evening.
For Tarzan, Friday at 7:30.